The LAC region is comprised of more than 80 countries and territories. There are over 30 developing countries in this region, such as Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, and Peru. The vast majority of countries were once colonies of European powers, such as Spain and Portugal. As a result, the four major languages of this region are Spanish, Portuguese, indigenous languages, and French and English. Ethnically, this region is very diverse, containing indigenous people, immigrants, and others, almost from all parts of the planet. Politics in this region are also very diverse, but it's important to mention that during the Cold War, many countries turned to socialism and communism. This has majorly impacted the development within the region as these political shifts happen. The four main industries of the LAC region are agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and the rapidly expanding service sector. Key economic activities in the agricultural section include the harvesting of coffee, soybeans, and beef. In addition, the region is also known for ethanol, its flourishing industrial sector, aerospace engineering, automotive industry, and its steel manufacturing industry. As far as GDP goes, Brazil and Mexico take the lead. Brazil is actually one of the BRICS nations, meaning that it is currently one of the world's largest rising economies. Its GDP is around 1.8 trillion in USD. Mexico follows closely at 1.3 trillion. Haiti and Jamaica are examples of smaller economies. Jamaica's GDP is 15 million, and Haiti's is about 8 million. To get an idea of income per capita in the region, we compare Brazil to Haiti. Haiti's income per capita is 2,000, while Brazil's income per capita is 9,000. The region as a whole stands at 13,000, with the US standing comparably at 70,000. In recent years, there has been strong economic development within the region. There has also been periods of volatility and decline. 1980 to 1990 is known as the lost decade, due to how unproductive it was, and the excessive amount of debt and hyperinflation. And then in 2008, there was, of course, the global financial crisis. Along with that, the recent COVID-19 pandemic led to unprecedented economic disruptions. The region has faced an unemployment crisis in many parts as a result.
I'm going to start with education in Latin American countries where we see a sharp divide in educational quality. On one side, we see examples like Argentina and Uruguay. These countries have a robust educational systems that contribute to their relatively high rankings on the Human Developmental Index, or HDI. Their governments prioritize public education, which helps create a solid foundation for economic and social development. However, not all countries in the region have similar conditions. In places like Guatemala, El Salvador, this situation is vastly different. Public education often lacks adequate funding, leading to overcrowded classrooms, limited resources, and deteriorating infrastructure. Furthermore, there's a significant inequality in the education access, especially among rural populations and ethnic minorities, which factor like gender and ethnicity affecting students. Educational opportunities and disparity in the educational system across Latin America has long-term implications on these nations' ability to break cycles in poverty and enhance economic growth. Next slide, we're talking about health in these countries, which is another critical area. There have been recent improvements in life expectancy in certain Latin American countries, reflecting progress on healthcare and quality of life. For some segments of the population, however, healthcare remains unevenly distributed, particularly between the urban and rural areas. Marginalizing communities in remote regions have often limited to no access to essential healthcare. This inequality became even more apparent during the COVID-19 pandemic, which highlighted weaknesses within the healthcare systems of various countries in the region. As shown on the map, countries with death rates exceeding 5 per 100,000 population, such as Peru, Ecuador, and Brazil, were hit hard by the pandemic. This reveals the need for healthcare reform and greater investments in infrastructure, especially in underserved areas. Addressing these gaps is essential for reducing health-related inequalities and improving resilience against future public healthcare crises. Population dynamics is the next slide we have. which is greatly across the region. Some countries are considered mature in terms of population growth, showing moderate growth rates. For instance, Argentina and Chile have experienced relatively steady birth rates that contribute to modern growth without rapid surges. On the other hand, some regions, like parts of the Caribbean, face stagnation in population growth, which can create challenges for economic development due to the limited workforce. A significant issue for many countries is the immigration of skilled workers, commonly known as brain dead. This phenomenon weakens the human capital of these nations as qualified professionals seek better opportunities abroad, reducing the local talent pool. As we see in the bar chart, overall population growth in Latin America and the Caribbean has gradually decreased from 2013 to 2023, which could affect labor markets and economic growth in the future. Addressing these demographic challenges requires policies to retain skilled workers and make the region more attractive for generations.
Now that we have discussed about the human development, it's time to talk about general development, its problems, successes, and challenges. Latin America and the Caribbean region is a complex development landscape with a mix of achievements and ongoing challenges. This diversity reflects both strengths and weaknesses across the region. But if we want to talk about development, we first have to talk about economy. And we do so here by talking about economic diversification and social progress. This region achieved diversification of its economy. While it was dependent on commodity exports, now several countries have developed manufacturing, expanded service industry, and promoted growth in tech and innovation. This diversification has been important in decreasing physical vulnerability, which was caused by a heavy reliance on fluctuating commodity prices, which have been historically driven economic instability. Just as economic instability has been an impediment in this region, political instability is a major impediment as well. Lots of government changes, plus overly polarized and unclear institutions that offend foreign investment cause uncertainty. Not only instability, but corruption. Corruption takes resources and opportunities. Corruption is another obstacle to development efforts, showing the presence of weak governance structures characterized by a lack of transparency and accountability. Another aspect of development is FDI, or foreign direct investment. FDI has been important to the economy development of many countries, especially in this region. It has been important as a source of capital, technology, and expertise. FDI flows are usually volatile since they are influenced by global economic conditions and political uncertainty in host countries. As for environmental sustainability, the LAC region is already feeling the effects of climate change with natural disasters, droughts, and rising sea levels. Environmental issues like deforestation and pollution are a threat for its biodiversity, public health, and economy. The key challenge here is finding a balance between economic growth and environmental sustainability, which means prioritizing clean energy, climate adaptation, and natural resource protection in all policies. Another factor that plays a huge role in financing big projects and giving technical assistance to this region are development agencies. For example, the World Bank focuses on infrastructure, poverty reduction, and education. The IMF helps in the stabilization of economies during crisis. Regional banks like the Inter-American Development Bank supports projects related to infrastructure and social services, promoting regional cooperation. Apart from that, UNDP works with local governments for institutional strengthening, poverty education, and environmental resilience. With all this being said, we can conclude with Latin America and the Caribbean being a diverse region, with both achievements and ongoing challenges. Despite progress, deep-rooted inequalities, health disparities, and issues like political instability and reliance on volatile markets continue to hold back widespread prosperity. To address this, governments must focus on improving institutions, fostering good governance, and promoting inclusive growth. With the support of international and regional agencies which provide technical assistance and funding, sustainable development can be achieved. collaboration across sectors is key to creating a more equitable and prosperous future for all the communities in the region.